Yep, we are.
Cool. Okay, any questions about anything off topic before we get into the market analysis today? Everybody doing well? Everybody have their shots? Everybody's good? Okay, so what do you currently use for your market analysis? Give me some feedback. Yeah, that's what's great about not having these Zoom meetings anymore, is we actually get some conversation going with our workshop attendees.
So you mean which part of the MLS is that what you're asking?
So how do you present it? How do you present your market analysis? The reason I mention that is that we have a lot of agents in the company that just work for their own clients, their own friends, or their own family members. They're really not dealing with the public, and so they don't have to do a formal market analysis. Elva is one of our top producers, and she just staples a couple of pages together, like Keith and I used to do 100 years ago when we did an analysis, and I guess it's just her good looks is able to swing those clients to agree to her. And her best line is, "Well, what do you think it's worth?" Okay, well, let's try that. Yeah. So those are different ways to attack this, but unfortunately, I've never had that type of success. So I've always had to do a formal market analysis, and it's developed over the years. And I've got samples here. I'll pass these around. This is what we're currently doing. You want to just take a peek. Okay. And this is what I'm going to show you how to do today. Okay. So what type of a market analysis do you do now?
I use this.
You use the matrix, the one that's online?
I combine it with the title.
With the report from the title. And that's a great thing. Robert, through California Best Title, he'll give you a profile, and it's actually a nice folder. It has a lot of information on the property. And it even has comps from the assessor that have been reported. The disadvantage to that is I don't like really the format as much as mine. And the assessor comps don't have the remarks, don't have all the description that the agent has put in there, whether it's a fixer or whether it's a brand new remodeled home, because that makes a big difference. Since a lot of the properties that we're dealing with now are still these 1950 tract homes that have been remodeled a few times. So, anybody else want to participate here and tell me what they're doing with their current market analysis? All right, so this all started 100 years ago when I was working with banks. This was back in the 80s when the banks all melted down. 1 hour photo. Some of you guys have been around a while. That used to be a real hot thing, and so I would go out before computers and I would take pictures of the sale comps and just paste them on this book, and I had to type this. This is again before computers, so I had to type all the info, and then this was my presentation that I did in the old days. I kept one. So that's evolved into this book. The majority of that booklet is online, and it's available through Matrix, and so we'll actually go through that today.
They added some things, huh?
I added some things.
Oh, okay.
So the only problem with the matrix, or obviously because every agent has access to it, it doesn't have any of the personal stuff. It doesn't talk about you. It doesn't talk about your marketing plan. It doesn't talk about your commissions. It doesn't talk about what separates you from all the other agents. So that's I think there's 12 or 13 pages that are added to the matrix CMA that will personalize it for you with your profile on the back and everything. Okay, so this is a big deal, and if you've never done one of these, it's probably going to take you a day to set it up and to get it all together. And you should do at least 15 or 20 of these before you feel comfortable in doing them. When you're working with the public and you're asking people, hey, would you like a free analysis of your property, and they say, oh, well, I'm not really sure if I'm going to sell. I think maybe I'm just going to refinance, or whatever it is, or I'm just curious. Well, if you've got a system down where you can put something out like this in less than an hour, you're going to jump on it. And you're going to say, oh, well, that's okay. I'd love to have the opportunity to present you with my photo market analysis. Can I meet with you this afternoon, or would tomorrow be better? And close on that. The difference is that if you don't have a system down, something that you can do very easily, you're going to kind of hem and haw, and you're not going to volunteer as easily to do that market analysis as if you actually had a system. Okay, so that's where I want you to get to. I want you to get to where it's comfortable for you to do this. You can knock it out quickly, and it's going to be very professional. And it's quick to do, as you'll find today. All right, so now having said all of that, I know that a lot of you are going to leave this meeting and never look at this and never do it, just because it's just too much. They don't want to take that day to set everything up. And so Danny does a class on the online CMAs. It'll probably be a few weeks. I've got a schedule going around here also, where you can do a shortened version of this, where it's just one page that you load with your info, with your picture and your info. And when you put in an address, it'll auto-populate all the information and give you all the comps. And you can present that. And that's like a 5-minute thing. And it looks very professional. The drawback is that you haven't screened the comps. You don't know. It could, some could be way high or way low, not comparable. And it doesn't have all the goodies that this has in it. But you should use something for a market analysis. So let's go through this, and please interrupt me if there's questions.
So this looks awesome. Because I did Danny's when I did the first thing. I did the online one. Yeah. So I uploaded some of my stuff ready, but then you added this stuff. And so this stuff comes from other places.
Well, I'll show you right now.
So because I like this better.
Okay. So this is our website. It should be familiar with everybody, right? So we're going to log in up here.
How often is that updated, the website?
Pretty often.
Well, it's automatically updated with listings daily. Right?
I'm not on there as an agent.
Oh, as an agent?
When it says meet our agents.
Talk to Lisa.
Okay.
Make sure that you're on our roster.
I'd like to see it on the recording.
What's the password? TRG CMA files. Yeah, if you're missing anything here. Okay.
Well, there's your copy.
You see that here, right? So this is what you guys have in front of you here.
Okay, so I can print that.
Well, you don't want to print this because this is all my stuff. But this gives you the finished product, right? So that you can see it. Right, we've got all the pages here. So just to let you know the setup, that if you I'm going to take these back so that you can see what this looks like.
Okay.
So is there a template on there to input our information if we want to use that same format?
You're just 30 seconds ahead of me here.
That was the question I was
Sorry.
gonna ask.
Because I did try to go on there looking for it. I couldn't do it.
Okay, so here are the pages. They're numbered here on the left. I think there are 13. So basically what I do is I go online, and we'll do that today. I do the CMA, and then I print out these 13 pages, and I just shuffle them in with the CMA. And you can see how they're integrated in that sample that you can download, right? Now, all of these are Word docs. So let's click on this. And so you can download them and you can edit them, and you would save them in your own CMA file. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these just to show you. So again, this is a Word doc. So you can type in, right, the information that you've got, property address, and personalize it, upload your, well, like if you have a picture, if you want a picture, this is the one that's up there, and then this is mine. It used to have this coloring, and now it has this coloring. It's evolved.
I have a question. So when you put your picture in and all that kind of stuff, where did you, this is from your business card, right? Or not, I mean, obviously.
This.
Because when I asked Rapido Signs for a digital file for my business card, because I wanted it for marketing, when I tried to do something like that, because I wanted to put it on the bottom of a post-it thing like this, the quality is really bad. And they won't send it to you in a JPEG file or anything.
Rapido doesn't take pictures, do they?
Well, no, but
So
like
you should
with
have
my
your own
business
photo.
card. Yeah, I have no own photo, but then.
No, this is just a Word doc.
Oh, it's just
It's
the
just
rest
type.
of the Word doc. So
Yeah.
just insert my photo and then make my own business card.
Correct.
Okay.
Or don't even, if this one doesn't have a photo,
Right.
right? Our logo is also, you can download
Download the
that
logo, yeah.
at that same place
Mhm.
where we're at here on the website, right?
So that's what we're gonna be doing. then.
So the idea is, in your first day when you're organizing and you're making up one of these, you're going to have to make templates that are personal to you. And then you'll come back in and just change the name, address, and the date when you have that CMA. Right? So let's go back here. Still working around all of these boxes. Okay, so let's get one that has these three right here. Have pictures that are filled in, right? So, for example, the aerial map and the assessor's map, when I first did this, I didn't even use those. So this is something that you can grow into. But obviously you're going to have the subject property. So when you click on add image again, it brings that as a Word doc. Does everybody know how to paste a photo in a Word doc? Because you're going to need to know how to do that to personalize the cover also. So I'll show you this one. Beautiful little house here. So when you right click on the picture, it will give you a fill up here. And then you can go to that picture that's my editing up here. Now it goes to fill. And you click down here on picture. And you're taking a picture from your file. So I mean, yell if I'm missing anybody here. And then you're going to have a file of pictures somewhere. Nope, not that one.
Camera roll.
Where'd it go for? I just want to see what I got here. All right, so anyway, you just right click on the picture and you click save and it'll fill it. Spend all day doing this. All right. And we do the same thing in order to get that aerial picture. In fact, let me go into using this shared screen. Okay, so we're actually going to do a CMA right now. So we've all used the MLS, correct? Right? Go under residential and under, if you look under residential, you have CMA over here, right? Mm-hmm. And could one of you give me a sample property that we're going to appraise, something that's in a conforming neighborhood that's a single family residence?
1801.
So let's go to tax. That's usually the first thing I do when I get a lead, just to pull up the information on this. What is that in?
San Pedro.
It's in San Pedro. 1801.
CHA
It's not listed, correct? So, all right, so actually it shows us that it's listed at $1.4 million.
Wanted it first, so.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
And
So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1344 square feet. So typically I have this in front of me. I have this sheet printed out, so I have the data on this. And but since you know where it is in San Pedro, do you know what area it is?
well, it's like South Shores, it's, sorry.
It's in the
off
South
like-
Shores and has a
yeah,
view.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Had more of one, and then the neighbor just put up a fence that's way too much.
Okay. So what's important here is 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1344 square feet. Typically you walk through it, right? So it's got a family room. It's got some additional room. Okay. Only kitchen and bathroom.
Kitchen, bathroom.
2 baths?
Floors, yes.
So then you go back to the CMA. And what I do is I just select all here, just to make it simple, and put in the area. So let's see if, do you know what number that is for South Shores?
I think it's 186.
86?
That's Maryland's Pines.
Oh, it's like right there, it's right after the last.
So Pedro,
Is it Millville?
It's right after the last.
Point Furman. Is it in that Point Furman area?
I mean, it's right there, that's how it's.
Oh, here's South
listed
Shores.
early, so, yeah.
Okay, so let's do all of these beach areas here. We're going to do South Shore, Point Furman. And what would you put for square footage? You got the subject is 1344. How would you do a search for it? 200 on either side? Okay, so like 1100 to maybe 1600, right? And it's a single family residence. And if you look down here, we've got 20 matches, right? So that's pretty good. If you have too many, then you want to narrow it down. Maybe it's going to bring in the square footage if too many show up.
How many, like you printed a lot in here, like what's a lot or too many?
I like to get at least 5 or 6 sales.
Okay.
And depending on the market, I don't know if you can get 5 actives today. I've done CMAs where there's been nothing for sale, even in like a Southwood home, where it's a big tract of homes. There's just nothing for sale. So we're getting to that point where the inventory is really low. But you do want to have at least 5 or 6 comps. And when you're presenting it to the seller, it's very important that you have comps that are bigger and obviously better, and some that are less. Because if you just show the same home or maybe something that's not as nice, sellers always think that their home is better. And they're going to say, oh, well, mine's $100,000 more. So when you can bracket it to where you have comps that are definitely better, it has a pool or it has an extra 200 square feet, or it has a remodeled kitchen and yours doesn't, right? You can then explain back to the seller, so, well, your house is just like this, but this one has a brand new kitchen. So obviously yours should be a little bit, you can't reach across and slap them. So you've got to be able to educate them and show them what these other comps are. And the idea now, if we're talking $1 million for a home, if you can get something in that $50,000 range, and that's doing a good job, right? If it's a $500,000 house, you should be able to get it tightened up a little bit closer than that.
So then a remodel kitchen really is worth extra 30,000 usually?
Well, on a $500,000 house, I would say even more than that, and on $1 million house, maybe 100,000. Yeah, it depends on the and also on the type of remodel. Okay, so we've got, we're gonna look at these results here. And is the subject in here? It's at a million, what's the list price?
1449.
Is it active?
Yes. I did just get an offer and somebody else actually.
Isn't that strange? There's no active showing. So did we miss the area? Let's map these. So I select them all. For this exercise, I'm gonna X out the expireds and canceled, because sometimes they're duplicates. So if you take the time, they might be back on the market or they may have sold. And sometimes it's good to actually keep them in. If there's one that was too high and never sold, you could use that as fodder when you're talking to the seller that, you know, if we list it too high, we're never gonna get there. This computer is really slow on this since we've already hooked up to it. Okay. We're going to map this. Is your home in this area?
I can see, so I know.
Well, that's South Shores in the coastal.
Because like really, it's 2 blocks from the canyon of Rancho PV. Like right when you're going down.
It's
So if you're going
it's south of 25th Street.
So maybe it is Maryland's fine.
I think it is. Yeah, that's how it's been listed prior to.
Yeah, you didn't click on
I think
Maryland's
it's on
fine.
186.
Oh, I didn't?
No.
Okay.
That is a rough area because it's so like.
It is like, it's literally 2 blocks after. So it's welcome to Rancho PV. And then it's like, that can send you right there. Yeah. So.
Vista del Oro.
No, that's 23, 186, she's saying there less. Sorry, just do all of that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tighten this up here.
I know, I'm sorry, usually I can see distance fine. I
On
know.
this computer too much.
And it's a 3-bedroom, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 186.
Oh, I have my map right now. Should have looked, sorry.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
Huge on the wall right.
Select all. Take these out. And then I always like to go through the numbers here. As we walk through the subject property, we know it's $1 million home, right? We don't know.
If it's one forward.
Yeah, what that value is. But we know that it's not, if you look at these, we know that it's not a 699, right?
What did you want to list it at?
So,
No, he wanted to list it at this. I did not list it.
and you can actually look at these, like this 699 here, I'm sure it's going to say, you know, it's a fixer.
It's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. That's nice, but it's not. Oh,
It's
it's
a-
3 bedroom.
no, but it always says 2 down
It
here.
says 2 down there, that's why I get confused. In the
Oh,
description.
there's a bonus with a guest quarters, so that's the 3rd bedroom. So that's kind of a different setup.
It's also one of those Ed Pickett designs too. So it's a mid-century Ed Pickett design.
So basically the idea is you kind of go through this. But looking at all of these prices here, look, we find yours up here. You can see what the value is, right?
But like the one that sold for 1150, or I mean, it was listed at that, what it actually sell for on 26?
1150.
Yeah, what did it
They
actually
raised the price.
sold, so what did it actually sell for? Oh, it sold for 1150.
Right.
It listed at 1099.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the highest price house in the area, right?
Well, we'll see.
There's one at closer one too.
So my goal here is just to kind of get some of these low ones out.
One, two.
Back, I think I'm going to go back to my criteria. Just make it above 800,000 and up, and that way we'll we'll get rid of some of those. It's funny, just when it takes an extra 2 seconds and you're not used to it, it just seems like forever, doesn't it? The subject is down here, I'm assuming. Over here. 5.
Yeah, closer towards like PB, like Rancho PB.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's really not in South Shores.
No.
Down here. Okay. You could
So when you
just,
see the map, then you can just do that area right there, right?
right, you could just use those. That are closer to it.
Yeah.
And it'll get you a better idea of the values. All right, so there's only one active, which is yours, right? So it shows you how strange this market is when you've got all of these sales. And there's actually 3, 4 that are under contract or pending. And a lot of sales over the last 180 days. So the key to this is when you come down here, you typically want to save this. And then under actions, just so that you'll have a record for it in case you want to come back to it on another day. You basically just click that CMA button down here. Put a contact name. Okay. First name.
So you put it in title.
I put the wrong one. So And then this, when you click on pages, will give you all of these, which is what the filler is in this booklet. So I typically,
So those are your filler pages over there.
correct,
So once we create the pages, then we can put them over there to the filler.
right.
Okay. Versus what is available from the online one.
Versus the personal pages, yeah. Yeah, because these are all generic. This is what everybody has access to. None of these are personalized. This is what everybody has. What's interesting though is they also have a page, a guaranteed sell page. It's actually built into it. It's not as good as the one that I'm showing you, but there is one in there. So these are basically the what is it? 10, 12 pages that I show. The listing detail, I use the 3-up on this, which is when you get to the actual comps. Most of them are 3-up, depending on how much text is in there. So you can make the book smaller or larger by how many you want to print. But that's good enough. Basically that's it. Once you have these pages set, you just click finish.
So then you're putting them in the order how you want them to come over there.
Yeah, I'll show you. So you can view the CMA. Going to take a minute because it's actually changing all of those pages into a PDF so that you can now download it and save it. And if you notice, that is the same as what you have in here for the market analysis explanation, minimums and maximums. It gives you a summary page. And you just kind of go through this.
I like that summary page.
If you notice that this is typically a little bit more than what I normally do, so it goes into 2 pages, but it's still nice. But what's obvious, I mean, again, we haven't even looked at the amenities of these specific houses, but you can see how overpriced hers is without some spectacular view or something that's special. So when you present this to the seller, you will know what the subject looks like, and you will know what these $1.1 million homes look like. And hopefully you'll have a couple of these that you can show them that are much nicer than yours. And say, hey, this is, even if we had a buyer, we're not going to get a loan, it's not going to appraise, et cetera, et cetera.
So I have a question. So like he wants, remember that happened to me, he wanted to price it out and I thought it should be a little lower, right?
He wanted to do it for 1 week. He said for 7 days, he gets just put it because he put $200,000 into the property. So he wanted it listed at that. He wanted to suggest that. But we did have an offer that's in at 135 right now. But I have 2 people that are going tomorrow at 2:30. So he's going to do it tomorrow. So another person is sending out, but the thing is there's no inventory. I had over 100 people show up over the weekend for a house, and that was and the neighborhood is wonderful. Like I met every single neighbor.
Yeah,
What
okay.
they're worried about is if this does sell that, people are going to start selling because they've all been there since 55, and
Right.
a lot of them have been there for 57.
Well, yeah, I want that.
So
They want that
can
to
get
sell,
that,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, well, I already have one neighbor next door. He's not listed, so this one. We're going to sell his also, but his is actually bigger, but it's not as updated as this one, but he has a better lot, actually.
The
So,
house,
so if you could list that, for example, if the seller was in your pocket and trusted you and realized that the way to market homes now is to set it at market, get those multiple offers so that they're actually bidding against each other. And if you could price it around that 1.1, 1.2
That's
with
what I
no
wanted.
other
I wanted
inventory,
to do 1.1, and that's what I told
yeah, it would have sold.
her. Oh, yeah.
Of course, the
It hasn't
1.3
been
sounds,
released yet. It
the
hasn't been
1.3
released
sounds
yet.
good. I mean, that's good if you can get that.
I want the house down the street from me, just went on the market for 3,995. I'm hoping that they get that. For me, it's like, they're just gonna make me work for.
Okay, so I just want you to see this, that it's a really nice program that Matrix has. Even though this is a 3-up page, some of them, if the agents are long-winded in their description, right, you may only get 2-up, but it gives all of the description. And this is really nice for the sellers to keep and to look at. Okay, so we got the comps. Wow, this one's really long-winded, huh? My Lord.
Awesome. Why is it there all the gym equipment and the-
Days on market, a lot of good data here. Kind of oversells the setting the price, because I think there's like 3 or 4 different pages on how to set the price. Benefits of using a realtor, where buyers come from, where the commission goes. You know, a lot of the public out there think that, oh, if you're getting 6% commission, you're making all 6%. They don't understand how it's split up. Or on pricing, another one on pricing. Steps to a positive show. Okay, so that's everything that's in the Matrix CMA. So what I do is I print that. Obviously, you got to have a nice printer. I use a little bit heavier paper when I go through it, and then I print all of these. I start, if you've looked at any of my pages here, I typically start off with this valuation sheet. And so this you would actually have to go in and type, put in the date and the value as to what it is. And I start off with that. You know, I was taught when I first got into business that when you're going on a presentation, you never give the value up front. You always go through the comps. So if I was sitting with a seller, I may want to go through the comps and the rest of the book and then close on that value. And the way it's, what the trainers tell you is that if you're way high, you know, let's say they're thinking $1 million and you're at $1.4 million, right? If you start off saying it's worth $1.4 million, they're in Hawaii, you know, they're on vacations. They're like, what am I going to do? This is great, you know. And the other way is if, you know, you're at $1 million and they wanted $1.4 million, they're thinking, you know, how quickly can I get out of this appointment? This is crazy. So you don't have their full attention until you give them that price. As I've gotten older, you know, I'm a veteran in the business, and a lot of these I mail out, so I don't have that opportunity. If an owner lives out of state, I'll scan it and send them a PDF of it, or I'll send them the booklet. And so I don't get that opportunity to sit down with them. And so it's more like an appraisal. And a formal appraisal always starts out with the price. And so that's what I've done. But, you know, treat that as it is. If you're sitting down with them, you may want to go through the amenities and all the comps first. Yeah, and show them. And the way I used to close on a value is I would show them the specific comps of the properties that are comparable to them and ask them, you know, how do you think your house compares to this? And try to get some feedback from them. And we want them to say, oh, I think this is nicer than mine. because that way you can definitely bracket that value. And in today's market, no matter what price they say, you can probably get more because the inventory is so low and rates are still really good. Okay. So any questions on these other pages? Do you want me to you want to take a peek at any of the other ones here? Marketing plan is really good. And again, you can, it's in a Word doc, so you can change this any way that you like.
I did start to build that, and I just put it, so then you just put it in your own folder, right?
So what I do is once you have these 12 pages, if you're using all 12 pages and you've got it, the right addresses and everything in that, I print this paper on blank sheet. So you just go, yeah, you black out everything that's inside, run the 12 pages or however many you need. And I use that as the stationery to print these. And so that gives you that conformity when you go through the booklet. So, you can say whatever you want. This started out with, when I first got into business in the 70s, Century 21 was a new company. That was like the big elephant in the room that was going around sweeping up all the agents. It's kind of like Keller Williams when they first started around here. It's a different atmosphere in those types of businesses. And Century 21 had a 21-point marketing plan. So I had mine numbered. I had 22 on my marketing plan. But basically, these are all the things that you go through when you market a house. And sellers don't know. They don't know what you do. So it's good to go. It's good to be able to go through that. And especially in today's world, when we've got all these added benefits that we give the sellers, as far as with Robert and having a professional photographer going out there, we can explain what that Matterport is, or a video that you can actually upload a video. During COVID, that was real important when people couldn't get into the property. So you can explain the different techniques and different strategies that you have for marketing. And when you're also, what's important when you're dealing with the sellers is a lot of times that you work without pay. So sellers, they don't understand how the commissions work in this. So you lay that out in your marketing plan. You should always have a team that you're working with, and in this case, these are all of our preferred vendors. We have Bill Athlon, the 1031 exchanges. I did a lot of small rental properties, so that was real important. So they had a contact. Stu Levy is our CPA. He'll take phone calls from clients and won't charge it for simple questions and stuff. Robert for title, if you've got questions, we've got escrow, we've got the home inspectors.
We did a great job on this.
So we've got all of these inspections, and then you also always have to have, I'm going to close today giving you a story about this commission. So always have a commission schedule in your market analysis. So that when somebody comes up to you and they say, what do you charge for your services? Don't come back and say, oh, I charge 5% or I charge 6%. Because there's always somebody out there that they've heard of that charges less, right? They don't understand what the fees are. When the reality is that you will sell this property for 1%. So what I would use as a new agent, I go 2 to 5, is what's on mine, but I would go 1 to 5. That 1% is if they have a buyer, right? If the neighbor wants to buy it and yet they still want professional representation, and you'll write it up for that 1%, because in today's market, what is that? You know, $7, $8, $10,000, right? Less $1,000 to TRG. I mean, I would do that all day long. So you will sell properties at 1%, and the public out there, they just don't understand. They don't understand the commission. So when somebody asks you, what do you charge? That should be a canned response that, well, my fees range from 1 to 5%, depending on the services. Can I meet with you later today or tomorrow and explain? Or can I do a free, market analysis on the property? Something to that effect, so that you can close to explain it. But don't just give them 3% or 5% or whatever it is, because they're thinking something different. So always have your commission schedule. And then always have your profile. And I'm sure all of you guys already have a profile, right? So you got to do that. This is a real simple one. Don't use mine as an example, because all I've ever done is real estate since I was 20. So I can't do anything else. But the whole purpose of the profile is to show your difference from everybody else. So it's your hobbies, it's what you like to do outside of real estate, not specifically real estate, especially if you're new in the business. It's not, but and I'll be glad to help you individually if you have any of these to run through. But do something. I mean, I've seen them where the guys have a big picture of them walking the dog at the beach on that profile page. Keith's got a great one of water rafting. Right, so that was your marketing piece when you used to water raft. And Carol was on the motorcycle. Wasn't she on a motorcycle? Yeah, she had one on the motorcycle. So use this to differentiate yourself from the other 5,000 pages that are out there. Okay, so again, once you have these templates set up, and you have a new CMA to do, all you have to do is go in and change some dates and some of the figures, and you'll be able to print out these 12 pages and then put them into this booklet. Before you bind it, you can bind it here in the office. I always run it through the scanner so that you have a PDF, just so you can keep a copy of that. And sometimes the clients want a copy of it also. These really have a shelf life. Clients will keep these for long periods of time, and you'll get callbacks. Questions? And I always end it with this satisfaction guarantee. If you have the opportunity to sit down with your client, that you guarantee hardworking ethical service, or they can cancel every time. And this is really important if you're going up against another agent, because a lot of agents do not offer this. And so why, if you're a seller and you're trying to pick and choose, why would you go with somebody that didn't offer this? Yes, that's right. So this is really helped me. So use this. Okay. Tell you a story, and then I'm done here. I can show you a couple other samples. This is one from Carol. This is what Carol Gillis. This is her CMA. She uses. And this is a different CMA program, and Danny will kind of get you into this. But this is also very nice.
We already have that scanned in there. What's that? You have that?
The QR?
It just pretty much goes to your website, right? It goes to her website, or to go to TRG.
I don't know where hers goes,
It
but
should go to hers.
Yeah.
if you don't,
Well, anytime something goes on TRG, I think it goes on hers.
she's real active online, so I'm sure she has it on the website. It's not important, I don't think, to have a website. I don't think that's important. It's more important to meet these people face to face or make these contacts. Depends on how you're going to be doing your prospecting. That's the route. So that's a good example. Okay, guys, other questions? Yeah.
But as it relates to this, kind of curious. Prospecting. Do you have a prospect on cancellation, like the ones that cancel it that day, like what the ones that expire? Yeah.
I have. Yeah. In my prospecting workshop, the key to whatever you're going to do, whether it's expired listings or canceled listings or for sale by owners, is you have to be the best at it. What's the guy's name down the beach? That's how he started.
Well, I know, but like when my listing expired, man, the short was hot. Because everybody was calling him. I know. It was mad.
Expired listings are very nice. And that's all.
Yeah, there's a handful of very successful
He was busy,
agents.
yeah, he was always kind of like
Yeah.
that.
You got to be good on the phone to be able to talk to these. There's lots of information, again, no matter what you want to do. There's lots of, and we have lots just up in our library upstairs up here. What they did for expired listings is he would deliver on the doorstep. It looked like a big stick of dynamite with the strings and stuff coming out of it. It was a little decorative and everything, right? And it says, you know, your listing just blew up and it's off the market, and you know, call if you'd like a free valuation, and or if you're not aware of this, you know, blah blah blah. So there's lots of things that you can do, but you have to specialize in whether it's that or for sale by owners or whatever, and be the best at it, because it's going to take all of your time, just like farming. If you want to farm a certain geographical area, it's going to take all of your time. Other questions? All right, so I'm going to close on. I've been doing these for decades, and I did one on a little duplex downtown Torrance off of Border Avenue. This is on the north side of Torrance Boulevard, so it's the lesser value south side of Torrance Boulevard. And I think I mailed it out, and I talked to the owner. 15 years go by. The son, who's my age, calls me and says, "Hey, Derf, you know, we've been getting your mailers. I send out a magazine or some contacts, and I'm not good at making the personal contacts like I teach, but I do have stuff that goes out." And so he called me, and it's got to be 10, 15 years later, and he's a retired engineer from Northrop. And he goes, his mom moved down to San Diego. And at the time, I think she was probably in her 80s at that time. And they want to sell this duplex. And we have your market analysis. And we noticed that you only charge 2%, right, on that commission schedule. And our tenant wants to buy the units, right? And so if you ever experience that, you know that it's very rare that the tenant ever buys it, because typically they want a deal. They're not going to pay market value. And so whenever I get those calls, it's like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll be glad to help you. You know, because I know typically it's going to turn into a regular listing. Is my goal on this. And so he explains that the tenant wants to buy it. And at this time, these duplexes were about $500,000. This was 50 years ago in the downtown Torrance. And you know, I'm going, that seems a little low in the back of my mind, but you know, I hadn't done an analysis in that neighborhood. And he goes, yeah, we've been working with them now for 6 months, and now they paid for a termite inspection, and it was $10,000 to get termite work. And they want us to do the termite work, but they'll pay the $500,000. but now they have a realtor friend that they're calling in to do the paperwork. Whereas, we thought we weren't going to use a realtor and save that money and blah, blah, blah. And so, we'd like you to represent us. And if you could do it for the 2%, blah, blah. I said, great. They go, let me, go check it out. And they had the appointment the next day with the tenant to actually sign paperwork. And so normally whenever I meet somebody and I tell them, oh, would you be interested in a market analysis, or just curious as to the value or whatever, I tell them, oh, it takes me 2 or 3 days. I like to come out and take a walk through the property, and I build it up. I mean, even though I can do all of this in less than an hour, I think Danny can probably do it in 15 minutes. I want them to think that there's some value to this. And so I usually tell them it takes a couple of days to do it. But in this case, since he had that appointment right away, I said, oh, is it possible that I can, send you a digital, copy? Because when you're my age, people that are my age and older, a lot of times are kind of tech challenged, And this was a retired engineer, right? He goes, oh yeah, no problem. He goes, PDF is great. And I said, oh, good. And so I went out and looked at the property, and it was in a market where there was very few listings. There had been a comparable one that sold for 500,000, but it was like 7-8 months ago, right? And now, just like in today's market, this market's coming up. This place is worth at least 550, and there's nothing for sale out there. And so I did the market analysis. Took me about an hour to put together. I took some pictures of the property, put it all together, and I waited until like 3 o'clock, right? I didn't want to send it to him real quick. And I sent him a PDF, and I said, you can get at least 550 for this property. So as soon as he receives it, he calls me. So it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He goes, Derf, are you kidding? Is it really, blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, look. He goes, well, what about that one that sold for 500? And I said, well, yeah, but that was 8 months ago. Look at these other homes that are on the market now, et cetera, et cetera. So he goes, well, what should I do? Ding, 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 ding. And I said, well, let's give your tenant the first right of refusal. If they want to pay the 550, that's great. In fact, tell them that you'll sell it to them for 525, because it's only it's only going to cost you 2% commission, that you're going to save $20,000 in your commissions, but tell them that we're going to list it. In fact, let's list it at the 550. Put a sign on it so that he knows that we're selling property, because they stomped around for 6 months and haven't done anything. So to make a long story a little bit longer here, the tenant said, "Oh, you guys are crazy. It's never going to get 550." He signed the listing with the exclusion for the tenant buying it at the 2%, and I charged 5% if it was a regular listing. So he signed that with that exclusion that afternoon. So in that one day, I was able to go out and do the market analysis, send them the paperwork, because I had this system in place where I could do this market analysis. Send it to them, got the listing, got it back. Took a couple of days to get the sign up, took a couple of days to talk to the tenant. But within a week, we had offers on the property. And we ended up selling it at, I don't know if it was full price or a little bit over 550 or 555 to someone that was in an exchange. No termite work, no repairs. So he netted 50,000 plus the work that he had to do. And it was a quick escrow because they already had the money for exchange. And fortunately, it was a very smooth escrow. Everything went really well. I dealt mostly with him because the mom was elderly and in San Diego, and he was still commuting from his retirement from his job. So we get ready to close escrow, and I said, hey, we can have the escrow company wire you the funds into your account, your mom's account, or we can overnight you the proceeds check. And what would you like? And he goes, Derf, he goes, no, he goes, my mom and I want to come down and pick the check up from you. I go, we can talk He goes, yeah, he goes, we just want to come up and shake your hand and thank you for your service. So that's what you can get when you do a professional market analysis and get these clients to trust and like you. So get one done. And if you don't want to spend the time on this, at least do one of Danny's online CMA so that you have something that looks good that you can present to your clients. Okay, questions?
Can Danny do one for?
Yeah, he's actually got a class. He's going to show you 2 or 3 different ones. It'll take an hour going through those. The difference with the online ones is you just have 1 page rather than 13 pages to customize, right? But then you don't have, you don't have the guarantee, you don't have the marketing plan, you don't have the commission schedule, you don't have a lot of stuff that this one does. So
I think the hardest thing is to like set up the extra pages, because like I started to, but like on the profile, I'm like, well, I'm new, what do I put there, so then I got stuck. And then I go back to it, and then, you know what I mean?
well, that profile you need for everything. You need
Well,
that.
yeah, no, so now I'm gonna go back and revisit that.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a,
And I didn't realize this was the picture, because I do my picture, and I didn't realize I had to type that, so now I can go back and finish that.
the key though is even if you're doing the simple, here's the Adam agent. Yeah. This is the one that we have online. Even without the picture, just getting the basics down and having something that you feel comfortable doing that you can go to.
Danny, isn't that the one that I did for Christy Lane? I just did the basic one. Right?
Yeah. I think you use the the matrix cover though. It's the same.
Okay.
It's just text. You can even add the property
Well, because I
photo.
started to put all my own personal stuff, and then I got stuck. So
But once you have it set up,
yeah, I know. Once I have it set up,
right.
Mhm.
And the key is
I was close.
yeah, the key is, if you are like I was married with children and I was dependent on making money, you have to go out there and you have to, what I found out, I started with Gardena farming, is that I had to do 3 of these to get 1 listing. So when you're out there knocking doors and talking to people, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I want to get 3 appointments to do these because I know I'll get 1. And then later on in my career, when I started mailing them and I was doing investment properties, and I wasn't able to sit down with them, right? My numbers dropped. I was 1 in 5. So I had to do 5. And when Danny first came in as an intern, I think we did 30 or 40 of these mails.
We're doing 10 a week
Yeah.
because Monday and Fridays we're taking photos and then mailing them out the following Monday and just
So my point is, when you're doing 10 a week, right, you're going to get a listing within that week, and you're going to have 3 or 4 of them. In today's market, that's huge. That's a lot of money. If you're doing 1 a month, you're going to be like most agents at TRG. You're going to do
but still 1 listing. I mean,
But are you asking people if they want that when you're farming, or are you just automatically doing it and giving it to them? You're asking.
Yeah.
well, the idea is to get their information, their name. This is the hard step. This is 4 hours of your time,
Right.
money, wasted time. But once you have a rapport with them,
Right.
then you can do the automated system like my dad does with like the home bot and other things. And you just set it and forget it. And you move on to new clients. It's going to take you a while to get those first 100. But once you have 100, you're going to get 10 deals a year. It just may take a while, for them to trickle through. It's like farming. Everything's going to be a year and a half before it actually comes to fruition for what you do. And most people never start, so that's why there's no competition.
But you got to do a bunch of these to start reaping what you sow. All right, we'll be here. Thank you guys. Enjoy lunch. We got the sandwiches left. Thank you.
So Danny, I have a